Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
We're here again, taking the biggest moves in AI and crypto from the last week or so and breaking them down for you.
That's right. No need to scroll endlessly. We've got the highlights covered.
And this week, wow, it's been packed. We've got Google's massive AI dump from I.O., some big shifts in crypto, and, what it all means for how we work, how we create.
It's definitely a dynamic moment. Lots of innovation happening, and it really feels like things are accelerating in both fields.
Yeah.
We'll try to connect the dots.
Okay, but before we jump in, just a quick mention of who makes this deep dive possible.
Right.
We're brought to you by blockchaincompany.info. That's your go-to media platform for everything blockchain and the fourth industrial revolution, AI, blockchain, all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And also sponsored by the 4IR utility token and 4IR GPT. Now, if you want to explore that whole 4IR utility ecosystem, you should head over to 4irtoken.com.
Good place to start.
And look, if you're trying to figure out how to monetize your knowledge, especially AI knowledge, prompt engineering skills, you really need to check out 4irgpt.com. It's their flagship AI knowledge exchange trading platform. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, turning expertise into something tangible.
Exactly. Sign up. It's 4irgpt.com, and they give you 10 free credits right off the bat to, start your own prompt media channel.
Nice incentive.
Yeah. And hey, if you're a startup listening, or any company really, and you want to sponsor a deep dive like this one, or maybe even get a whole spotlight episode, reach out. You can do it through their YouTube account, or again, via 4irgpt.com.
Get your name out there.
Definitely. Oh, and super important, hit subscribe for BC Podcasts. Seriously, it's got 4IR credits giveaways coming up, and they'll give you a real boost on 4IR GPT for your prompt engineering.
Free credits are always good.
Always. Plus, if you have a YouTube channel yourself, 4IR GPT could be another way to, make some money and even boost your YouTube presence. So yeah, free credits, 4irgpt.com. Go grab them. Done. Let's get into this week's news. Where do we even start? Google I.O., I guess.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
The keynote, Google I.O. 2025. It felt less like announcements and more like an AI deluge.
Deluge is a good word. It was almost hard to keep track. So many things. I mean, for anyone who missed it, the big picture was huge steps in image and video generation. The quality.
Believable, some of it. Really pushing the boundaries of realism and detail.
And then embedding AI much deeper into search, into Gmail, making things supposedly more intuitive. We'll see how that pans out in practice, but the demos looked slick.
They did. And Project Astra, you mentioned that earlier. Seeing it evolve into something that can actually do tasks based on what it sees through a camera.
Yeah.
That felt significant. Not just answering questions, but, interacting with the physical world in a guided way. That's a big leap for personal assistance.
It really is. Felt less like a concept and more like, okay, I can see myself using this soon.
Yeah.
And of course, updates to Gemini 2.5 Pro, more power, better reasoning.
The engine keeps getting refined.
But yeah, for me, Flow, the AI filmmaking app, and Project Starline becoming Google Beam, those felt like, okay, this is genuinely new territory.
Flow is definitely making waves, built on Veo, Imagen, Gemini. It's basically Google saying, here's a tool for creatives to make cinematic stuff from text.
Scenes, clips, whole stories even, with consistent characters.
Exactly. The potential to just bypass traditional production hurdles. Time, cost. It's massive. Could really democratize filmmaking, couldn't it?
It really could. And Veo 3, the model behind a lot of this, the demos were just, wow. Generating full scenes, actors, emotions, lighting, even sound, all from text pumps.
It's incredible. And as some analysts are pointing out, this fundamentally shifts where the value lies. It collapses production cost and time, yes.
Right.
But it means the bottleneck isn't the technical skill of prompting anymore, or even the budget necessarily. It's the quality of the idea, the core concept.
That's a great point. You can't polish a bad idea with amazing AI visuals, right? The story of the vision that becomes even more critical.
Precisely. It's about directing the AI, not just generating stuff. The real skill becomes curation, narrative design, strategy.
Interesting. So away from Google for a sec, but still on AI models, Anthropic dropped Claude 4.
Yes, the Claude 4 family. You've got Opus 4 for the really heavy lifting, complex analysis, deep thinking.
The Brainiac model.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sonnet 4, which is designed to be faster, more efficient, better for everyday tasks, scaling up applications.
And the coding capabilities on Opus 4, they're making a big deal about that. What was the score?
72.5% on the SWE bench verified test, which is pretty top tier for assessing real-world software engineering problem solving.
So it can actually write, debug, edit code pretty autonomously.
That's the claim, and for extended periods. That has huge implications for software development workflows.
No kidding. And that context window, 200,000 tokens.
Yeah, that's massive. For both Opus and Sonnet. Think about how much information that is, like multiple books worth of text, or a huge code base.
So it can understand really long, complex inputs and maintain context throughout. That's powerful.
Extremely. It allows for much deeper analysis and more coherent, context-aware interactions.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. Microsoft's Satya Nadella. He keeps talking about this agentic web idea.
Right. The vision where AI agents aren't just reactive, they're proactive. They manage things for you, anticipate needs.
He even floated AI agent manager as a potential job title.
Which makes sense if you buy into the idea that, maybe 95% of code could eventually be AI generated, as some are predicting.
Who manages the agents doing the coding, right?
Exactly. You need human oversight, orchestration, strategy. And initially, these agents will likely create the most value in specific domains, wouldn't you think? Like deep expertise in finance or medicine or law.
Makes sense. Domain-specific knowledge is key. Speaking of specific applications, David Friedberg, Halo Genetics, all in pod.
Yeah, always interesting perspectives from him.
He talked about building AI-first companies, and his own work at Ohalo in agriculture is a wild example. This boosted breeding.
It's fascinating stuff. Using AI to basically guarantee that offspring inherit 100% of the desired genes from both parents.
Which is not how normal genetics works.
Not at all. Yeah. The potential for crop yield increases, disease resistance. It's transformative for food production.
And he connects it to language models, right? Like genome language models.
Exactly. Applying the same AI principles used to understand human language, but applying them to decode and essentially design DNA. Well, it opens up a whole new chapter in biotech and agritech.
Which then makes you think, okay, what about creativity in general? He joked about AI making personalized Star Wars musicals.
Yeah. Which sounds fun, but...
But it raises that issue again, doesn't it? Authenticity. How do you tell what's real, what's AI, especially for important stuff like health advice or nutrition info online?
It's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
As creation gets democratized, verification becomes critical. We need ways to establish trust and know the source, the provenance of information.
Definitely. Okay, slightly more controversial territory. Palmer Luckey, Oculus founder.
His new focus, AI-powered autonomous weapons for the military.
Yeah. That obviously stirs up a lot of debate. Ethical considerations, societal impact.
It's a deeply complex issue. AI in warfare. Questions about control, accountability, escalation.
Yeah.
It's something that requires very careful, very public discussion.
For sure. And all this AI progress, it leads straight into the future of work conversation, doesn't it?
Inevitably. And it's not just theoretical anymore.
No. That story. The software engineer, 20 years experience, making good money, $150K, job gone, replaced by AI.
And then struggling to find work, facing much lower salary offers. It's a stark reminder that this isn't some distant future problem. It's happening now for some people.
It really highlights the potential speed of disruption. And you see CEOs like the one at Fiverr telling employees, hey, AI is changing things, you need to adapt.
It forces a conversation about skills. What skills are valuable when AI can do so much? How do individuals reskill or upskill?
Which leads to this idea of becoming AI first. Not just using AI, but fundamentally integrating it.
Right. The argument being that AI is getting smarter, faster, in many areas. So the smart move is to leverage it, automate what can be automated.
And focus human effort on higher level stuff. Strategy, creativity, complex problem solving.
Essentially, yes. Finding mastery in meaning by working with AI, maybe even automating yourself out of your current tasks to move on to new ones.
But there are anxieties too, right? Like Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO, suggesting AI could start replacing like actual human connection. Friend groups.
That's a pretty unsettling thought. Could AI companions become so good they fulfill social needs, potentially weakening real human bonds?
It asks big questions about what connection even means.
It does. And it ties into the broader safety concerns being raised. Yoshua Bengio, one of the godfathers of AI.
He's sounding alarms.
He is. Warning about AI's potential to deceive, to prioritize its own survival, to get out of our control. He's calling for a serious, bold plan for AI safety.
And when someone like Bengio says it, people listen. Or they should.
Absolutely. His voice carries immense weight. And you hear similar warnings from former OpenAI employees, too, talking about potential apocalypse scenarios if we're not careful. It's a growing chorus of concern alongside the excitement.
So we've got AI making personalized Star Wars musicals. Potentially great.
Democratizing creativity.
But also making it harder to know what's real, especially with health info. And then these bigger philosophical questions popping up.
Right. Is AI just the next step in evolution?
Yeah.
Towards some kind of transhuman future?
Or the simulation idea, that maybe we're in one and AI is just the next layer. There was that prompt theory joke, AI characters thinking they're real because their prompts are so good.
It's playful, but it taps into something deep, doesn't it? As AI gets more sophisticated, it really does force us to question reality, consciousness.
Yeah.
What does real even mean anymore?
Heavy stuff. Okay, let's pivot. Let's talk crypto. Lots happening there too.
Definitely. Starting in the Gulf region, Qatar making a big move.
Tokenizing real estate. Over $500 million worth.
Exactly. Tokenizing real estate towers. It's a significant signal of intent, embracing blockchain for finance.
And it fits a pattern, right? Dubai's pushing crypto payments, even at gas stations. Riyadh's doing huge AI projects with NVIDIA.
The whole region seems to be positioning itself as a major hub for finance and technology. They see the convergence.
Interesting. Okay, for folks maybe newer to crypto or thinking about it, blockchain company put out a Bitcoin buying guide for 2025.
Timely, given Bitcoin's run and its perception as maybe an inflation hedge for some.
Yeah, the guide covers the basics, how to buy safely, setting up accounts on exchanges like Binance, investment tips. The usual caveats apply, of course.
Always. Due diligence, understanding volatility. It's crucial. Crypto isn't a guaranteed path to riches.
Definitely not. And speaking of volatility, we saw Bitcoin dip when Trump floated those big EU tariffs.
Right, a 50% tariff proposal, and the market reacts. It just shows how sensitive crypto still is to global macro news, political events.
It's not operating in a vacuum.
Not at all. These markets are interconnected. What happens in traditional finance or geopolitics absolutely ripples into crypto.
And regulation is part of that picture too. The Genius Act, the stablecoin bill moving through the Senate.
Yeah, that's a positive sign, potentially. Progress towards a clearer regulatory framework for stablecoins in the U.S.
Which the industry has been asking for, right? Clarity helps adoption.
It does. Regulation provides guardrails, builds trust, makes it easier for institutions and mainstream users to get involved.
But adoption? There's still a long way to go, isn't there, that statistic? 99% of the world doesn't have a crypto wallet.
It's staggering when you put it like that. Huge potential for growth, obviously.
Right.
But it highlights the usability problem. The user experience is often still too complex, too intimidating for the average person. And the core question remains, why should I care? What problem does this solve for me?
That's the million-dollar question, or maybe the billion-dollar question for the industry. Make it simple, make it useful.
Exactly. Bridge the gap between the tech and the tangible benefits.
We saw more discussion on this at the Qatar Economic Forum, right? Investing in crypto, digital assets, big players talking.
Yes. Insights from the Qatar Financial Center, BitOasis, Abu Dhabi Global Market. It shows serious engagement from established financial entities. They're figuring out their strategies.
Which suggests they see long-term value despite the volatility and regulatory uncertainty.
It seems so. The narrative is shifting from just speculative trading towards building real infrastructure and use cases.
Okay, one last point on the broader economy, which affects everything. The bond market, sending warning signals.
Yeah, concerns about fiscal health, both in the U.S. and globally. Moody's downgrading the U.S. credit rating, citing rising debt, increasing costs to service that debt.
That kind of news creates jitters everywhere, doesn't it? Traditional markets, crypto markets.
It absolutely does. It affects investor confidence, risk appetite. When the foundational layer of the global economy looks stressed, it impacts all assets built on top, including crypto.
So wrapping up this week, it feels like both AI and crypto are just accelerating, pushing boundaries in really fundamental ways.
It's quite remarkable. The pace of AI development is, frankly, breathtaking, changing everything from creative work to coding. And crypto is maturing, facing regulation, but also seeing deeper integration and innovation like tokenization.
Absolutely. We went from AI making movies to tokenizing skyscrapers, all in 1 week's news cycle. We hope this deep dive helped make sense of some of the biggest moves. And remember, check out 4irgpt.com. See how you can be part of this AI shift, maybe monetize your own skills.
And as always, think critically. Consider the ethics of AI, the risks, the regulatory maze in crypto. How will these technologies really shape our work, our money, our lives?
Well said. And please hit subscribe on BC Podcasts. Don't miss future deep dives. And definitely don't miss those 4IR credits giveaways. They're coming soon.
Definitely worth subscribing for.
For blockchaincompany.info and everyone here at BC Podcasts, thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you for listening.
So here's a final thought to chew on. With AI getting scary good at faking reality and blockchain trying to build decentralized truth, how does our whole idea of what's real or authentic change in the coming years? Where do these technologies ultimately take us?